Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beauty School Bobby podcast. Today's episode is with somebody who matches my energy so insanely well. It is crazy. From the moment that we met, I literally feel like we are the same person. So today I got to interview Jessica George, who is the industry relations manager at Milady. So she has a different role in the beauty industry than most. So I was really excited to talk to her about what her job looks like, what she does in the beauty industry. Again, just to promote the fact that there are so many different things that you can do with your license. And she has moved from beauty school student to educator to now being with Milady. So her sharing her story of what beauty school educators can be doing right now and giving tips for them, I think was so fun to talk to her about because she really is the one that we need to talk to. She is working with a company that not only provides the curriculum, but is also helping to determine what needs to be taught in beauty schools. But I really feel like more than that, she is an amazing example for beauty school educators. I think that if you are a beauty school educator or you own a school or have anything to do with a role in the school, that you need to listen to this episode. And for beauty school students, I think it's really awesome to hear from somebody who's been in the industry for 20 years, which I know sounds like a long time, but just even in my perspective, it will be a blink and you will be in the industry 20 years. So I think to see somebody that has done so many different things, but then has gotten into this position is so encouraging. So I think this episode is so wonderful. Jessica is amazing. And I think that you're going to love it. So make sure that you, at the end of this episode, rate, review, subscribe. There is going to be a link in the episode notes of this podcast for beauty school educators, just some resources for them. So check it out. I hope you love it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beauty School Bobby podcast. Today I am here with somebody that I have been so excited to talk with. I actually got to meet Jessica in October and have been dying to record with her ever since. So I am here today with Jessica George, who is the industry relations manager for Milady. Jessica, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was a
Jessica,
pleasure.
I have to tell you something I found out when I was creeping on your LinkedIn bio. We have the same birthday.
No way.
Yes, August 21st, right?
What? Yes. That is
Yes, which
awesome.
as soon as I found that out, I was like, this matches. Our energies match so insanely. And I was like, oh, that's why we are birthday twins.
This makes sense. Okay. I love this for us. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
that's so funny.
Well, I do want to say that I got to attend one of Jessica's classes at the American Association of Career Schools conference in October. And we had just popped in. We work with Milady. We're a Milady school. And I want to get into what that means for people listening that don't know what that is. But when I took your class, immediately 5 seconds into it, I looked at Steven, my business partner, and I was like, can you imagine if we had Jessica at our school? Immediately when the class started, I was like, could you imagine if she was in a classroom with students? You were so incredible. You have an energy that I know will come out in this interview, and people will be able to pick up the love and passion that you have. But I have people say that to me of your energy, where you have that. And I can recognize it so much in other people. So I think that you're just something that is so special that the beauty industry has, and that Milady is obviously so lucky to have. So to talk about that, we'll get into Milady in a second, but I want to talk about how you started your career in the beauty industry, because you have a different role than obviously than a lot of people, and this isn't a normal career path. And I want to highlight that this is a career that exists. So talk to me about how you got into the beauty industry and then how you got to the position that you're in today.
Oh, sure. So I went to beauty school right after high school. It was something I always knew I wanted to do. So that was my fast track. Right after high school, I went into a private beauty school in New Jersey. It's 1,200 hours. So I went to a cosmetology program and graduated. on time. But nevertheless, I went to beauty school. And then right after that, I started in a salon while I was, probably during beauty school after I was able to work at my hours. As assisting in my dream salon, I started, it was a beautiful revamped church, and it was my dream salon for sure. And so I did that for a bit, and I kind of like was getting my stick of like what I wanted to do in the industry, where I wanted to take, all that I have learned. And I worked in a few different salons after that. And then I kind of really found my passion in runway, beauty, like beauty, runway, fashion, and bridal. And that's really where I stayed in that track for quite a while. I'd say about 12, 13 plus years, while also having the opportunity to go into beauty school. And I got an invite from the school that I graduated from to come back and teach, and was offered a scholarship to do so. And I was really excited. I said, never thought that this would be part of my story, but let me give it a shot, right? My daughter at that time, she was probably like 2 or 3 when I made that decision. I needed a little bit more flexibility than kind of being back and forth to New York and traveling a lot, doing runway. And so I made the switch. I was like, you know what? You only get one life. So I talked to my family. I was like, should I do this? And like, yeah, do it. And I ended up falling in love with it. And I had a great support system, some really incredible colleagues that we just had such a good mojo. And it was really rewarding to be able to pour back into students that I saw myself in, right? And being part of their story. So, I did that for quite a while. I was in the schools for about, I would say 13 plus years, in different roles. I was a cosmetology educator, aesthetics educator. Did barbering for a little bit. And then I moved into curriculum development, educator development, for different schools and different chains. And that led me right to Milady. So recently, I've been with Milady for about 6 years. I started off in sales and training for our digital platform, SEMA. And then recently I transitioned to marketing in the last 2, almost 3 years, I think, industry relations manager. So it's been a beautiful journey. But I'd say I've really been, dabbled in a lot of different areas, and it's all really come full circle.
I really love that you've had so many different roles. And I think that that is not always something that's discussed in the beauty industry. I
Mm-hmm.
think that sometimes most people feel like there's a cap, right? At if I come into this industry, I'm going to just be doing hair, I'm going
Yeah.
to be in a spa, and and I think that really highlighting that there is room for growth is something that isn't discussed enough. I think we
Yeah.
don't talk enough about all of the different roles. And I think that is because there is such a fine line between, at least I've found, and I try to mix this in as much as we can, but there is a divide between schools and the industry. As far as like networking and doing all of that. I mean, I'm lucky enough in the role that I'm in to be able to meet people like you and to go out and see all of the different roles. I
Yeah.
want to expose that to students even more to say, get your license, but look at where your license can take you. It's not
Yeah.
look where your degree can take you and you've moved up. Like you've moved up with your license and you've moved up through just continued education, going on to the next thing, and really have built yourself into this career that I'm sure coming into it, you weren't like, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working with Milady someday and I'm going to be, part of the curriculum building and all of those things that are so important in our industry. I mean, I think these companies that are developing the curriculum, I mean, that is huge for developing the industry. So to have those opportunities, but so how long has it been since you graduated beauty school?
So I graduated in 2008.
Okay. So, I mean, I
So
know for
almost
me,
20 years.
yeah, but I think that that's a positive message too
Yeah.
of like, and you're still young, vibrant, growing, like that's a 20-year career. And I think one of the things that we often hear is that there's so much burnout in the beginning and you don't, well, maybe the burnout isn't that you're burnout from the industry, but of the role that you're in and
Wow.
seeking different opportunities to do that, and different opportunities to get out of that burnout burnout is maybe the thing, and it's not leave the industry completely, but these you know, corporate jobs or these, you know, careers with these brands and stuff, like there's so much opportunity to change.
Mhm.
And I think that that for me is something that I really craved. I always have like, you know, you want more and you feel that thing, but it's like following these opportunities to get into those positions, I think is so important for people coming into beauty school to hear and to know, is that it's not just this one thing. That's not why you're in school. But we don't always talk enough about all of the other roles, you know, that exist, because I feel like it is so separate. And I think that, you know, we need to expose students to those opportunities more. And I'm so excited for you to be an example of that, because I think it's not hard, or it is hard work. It doesn't come easy, but there is that room for development and growth. And I think, you know, the more that we can share that, it's really important for the longevity of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also comes with saying yes, right?
Mhm.
Even very early on, as a student, you may not feel qualified. You may not feel like you're ready. You may not feel like everything's perfect. Quite frankly, a lot of times I thought the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think there's a lot of power in yes, in saying yes when the opportunities come or someone offers you something where you're like, what's really in this for me? Or maybe it's not the paycheck that I thought, or maybe it's not this, or maybe it's not that. But what can it earn you, right? It's the exposure, it's the network, it's, simply the experience of just being in rooms that you have the opportunity to be in. And very early on, even when I was a student, I was saying yes to everything. And I don't know if that's the right answer, but I surely was, right? I was like, you want me to be where? What time? Yes,
Mhm.
and I would make it happen. And sure, those sacrifices surely added up where you look back and you're like, wow, the mentors that you gained like along the way, the people who asked you to come along when you probably weren't qualified very early on, but then you gained a greater network. And I think there really is a lot of power in saying yes.
Yeah, and figuring it out along the way is so
Yeah.
important. I think one thing that we talk a lot about on the show is, you know, like you've got to say yes and you figure it out. It's not that
Yeah.
we all have known that, you know, these are the roles that we're going to be in, but you figure
Yeah.
it out along the way and you find people that can support you, and always, you know, seeking out the people that you want to be like, seeking out
Sure.
the people that you want, like what does her life look like or his life look like, and how do I get there is really important. But like you said, the more times that you say yes, the more people that you meet, that you're able to build just a really powerful network. Who is somebody that has really motivated you or really inspired you through this time and through your career?
Um, that's really hard for me to answer, to be honest. I think in every season through my career, those people have shifted for me in very
Mhm.
positive ways, right? And I actually just had this conversation with someone not too long ago. I had the opportunity to meet Tabitha Coffee.
Mhm.
And when I was in beauty school, oh my gosh, like I wanted to be like Tabitha so bad. I cut my hair like Tabitha, had the platinum pixie, and I was just watching her. And that was the time of like Ted Gibson and Tabitha Coffee and Sam Villa. Like we had the icons, right, in that era. And I was talking with her, and I also shared from my heart, so much has changed where you, well, for me, I'll say for me, it switched from wanting to be like someone so much for the fame of the industry, right? And through my career, I then switched it to wanting to have the impact through the industry, right? And for me, that was the unlocking in my heart that I was aligned with my passion, right? It was no longer about I want the light, and we have the same birthday, obviously. So like we get this Leo energy, right? Um, but at the same time, you really have to find your track of what your passion is and what your driver is with that passion to be aligned with it. And you spoke about burnout, and that's exactly the key to that, right? It's like finding your fire. And for me, through every season, sometimes it's been teachers who have been my greatest, my mentor, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's been my leadership, my bosses, who've seen things in me that I couldn't see in myself, and they're like, no, let's try this, and I'm like, I love this.
Mhm.
So truly, I think it's just finding what you need in that moment and really having and looking through a lens through everyone in your life. Who can I connect with for that my need right now? And so I don't say I so much maybe idolize someone or something, but I do take very hard the gratefulness that I have of the circle around me and have had around me. And often it's been either people above me that I'm able to look up to or be mentored by, or people who are looking to follow in my footsteps that I can help mentor. So that's really what encourages me.
Yeah. And I think all of those examples that you gave are such strong examples of
Mhm.
longevity in the industry. I think that's something that we all need to be looking at. And again, like you said, it can be, and it's not negative. We all go through those seasons where it is like we're building something and we want it to be the likes and the all those
Mhm.
things, but in a positive way. I think that that's an important caveat to it is having that purpose and what is the impact that I'm going to leave. And I think it's so awesome because I think what you're doing right now has such an impact, just like I said, on the industry as a whole, because you're working with the people that are coming in just like on the front lines, like going in first. This is setting the standard for what the career is going to look like and what tools you're given and how you learn and the ways that that's all changing right now. So I think that's a good segue into talking about Milady. So if you've been in beauty school, there's basically two large curriculum companies that provide the textbooks, provide literally the lesson plans for teachers, how you do the testing, what is in that curriculum. It's updated all the time. I'm always like, I'm such a nerd about like the new textbooks coming. And what is that going to look like? And so if you're at a beauty school, you're using one of two most likely curriculums. And so Milady has been around for a very long time. And for you to come into this company, what did it feel like for you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that at some point you worked with Milady. I don't know if you went to a Milady school, but to now be like, wait, I'm this working with this company. What was that like?
Well, it was surreal for sure. I mean, I did go to a Milady school. I learned with Milady. I taught with Milady for about 6 years, and so that was truly the beginning of my career in the education space. And so to see this full circle, it truly did mean so much. But I think once I got behind, into the team and just learning the inner workings of how Milady worked, and at that time it was a very small team and very powerful team that was doing so much in the industry. And I said to myself, wow, like it just made me admire the team so much more, just knowing the power that is in the team. And then today I look at it and I'm just, incredibly grateful to be a part of so much that we've gone through over the last, I don't know, 5 years since COVID. So much evolution and forward thinking and truly being a part of the success of students in, I guess, this new era we can call it. But it's been incredibly rewarding for sure, personally and professionally.
Yeah, it is a space and where there's a lot of change that is like mandated through
Yeah.
regulations through the states, and each state
Yeah.
needs something different and different requirements. So I think that as a team, and I know the team so well, and I'm happy that you mentioned the like small but mighty, because I feel like people would be very surprised to know like how it operates and how close the team is and how small the
Yeah.
team is. Because you think of how many students are in this program or using this program compared to how many people are putting it together and developing it. I think people would be surprised that it is small, but in this space, there's constant change. And so, how do you react to being in a space? I assume that everybody that works there has to be okay with change and pivoting and moving and quickly. So, how do you handle that? What is the thing that is that something that excites you? Are you like, okay, now it's kind of like a puzzle. Now we have to figure out how we're going to do this?
Yeah, yeah. Our team is scrappy. They're
Mhm.
just ready to get to it, right? And I think personally for me, a mantra I really like to stick to is nothing in life is consistent but change, right? And if we really look through that lens, it's like, okay, I'm ready for it to change. And if anything stays the same for too long, something has to change. So quite frankly, me personally, I thrive with change. But I think our team surely does too. And I think we saw that so beautifully through COVID and coming out of the pandemic, and how we truly had to band together, not only together as a team, but together with the industry. And we said, how can we do this together? And as we work through change and internal change and external change, I think we're stronger today.
Yeah.
Than yesterday. It's like we continue to grow, we continue to thrive, and most importantly, we continue to do it together.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's really cool for me to see, and as we're changing into hybrid online, like there's a lot of
Yeah.
conversation about all of that. But it's like this company and the other companies, like you have to become a tech company. Like it's not just the textbooks, it's not just, lesson plans. I mean, it's very much switched to this is now an online, like a tech company of how do we get videos uploaded? How do we get lesson plans? How do we get all of those things? So it's so much more in depth. Again, the beauty industry, it's just not always acknowledged how advanced the beauty industry really is. And I see it a lot working with you all and how we brought SEMA into the school and all of those things, like really seeing like, wow, it's not, again, it's not just textbooks and lesson plans. It's so much more. And I think that it's really, really cool to see again a company like transition in that way and to work with it on the front lines as a school owner. And really being able to go to a person. That's one thing I love about this also is that you're going directly to a person to say, this is what we need. And then you all are able to switch and move because every school does it differently right now.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
not like it used to be where everyone was in classrooms and all of that. So now
Yeah.
it's like adjusting to those needs. So I know you all are 2 years ahead now, like what you're operating in, the world you're operating in is not, okay, yes, this is what we're doing right now, but it's
Yeah.
even how are we going to use this to get us to this place as well if we need to shift, if we need to pivot. And there is a lot of support there, which is great. And I think that that's something
Absolutely.
that's so special about the team too. When you're looking at beauty schools right now, do you get the opportunity or chance to be in classrooms anymore, like with students? What's that connection like?
Not so much. When I was on the sales and training team, and that team still exists. So we have a very strong team that trains schools directly on the front lines. And I'm sure you've been, I see your smile, so I'm sure
With
you've been
Ida?
introduced to them. Okay, good.
Yes.
Not so much anymore in this new role. However, our team is very well connected with school leaders, owners,
Mhm.
directors, instructors, and training them on our digital platforms. And then we have Alicia Barnes, I'm sure people know who
Yes.
might be listening, our academic development manager. She has a new title now, elevated title, but she supports from the academic side. And she created the Master Educator, as well as the new Professional Educator and our Master Ed classes as well. So we're very, very in tune from the classroom perspective. Me personally, not so much. I'm more at the conferences, still seeing instructors and school owners and all the things. Yeah.
What is something that you feel like is changing? What's on your radar right now as far
Yeah.
as schools go? What is it that you're kind of focusing on, whether it's something that like you see changing or a need that you see? Like what is a focus for you for schools right now?
I think right now, I mean, from a regulation standpoint, there has been a lot of change over the past few years, a lot of maybe uncertainty and questions, and everyone getting their questions answered. But most importantly, I really see folks banding together. And as I'm out on the road and going to conferences and sitting in on sessions and listening, um, I've gotten really curious about where the future is going, right? And there have been questions from industry wide saying, okay, what is the future? Dot, 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 right?
Mhm.
And I think everyone is truly in a space, and it's very empowering and comforting to know that schools are banding together, brands are banding together. The industry is wanting to come closer together and intertwine everyone's workings to say, how can we move this forward and how can we do it with strength? Right. So not to get too in the weeds on this podcast, but there are a lot of little things happening on the back end that it is a very important time to be banding together and standing with strength. So nevertheless, I really do see a positive shift on us as a whole, as an industry, shaping this industry and keeping the integrity of it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I agree. I think that it's a lot of people wanting to have conversations,
Yeah,
and school owners in different ways at different conferences, and now there's even smaller kind of conferences that are going to be more, your school's like my school because schools are so different, and then the needs are different, right? So I think making sure that you find your community there as a school owner or educator,
absolutely.
even if it's somebody across the country, like we all need to be having the conversations because something might happen in one state that isn't happening in ours yet, but it's coming. So making sure that that you're prepared and you have those friends in the industry, that are able to, that you can call and be like, hey,
Yeah,
when this happened, what did you do? And just keeping like a pulse on all of that. But it does seem,
absolutely.
there's definitely fear, just like in everything in the world. There's definitely fear of what's coming or what's next. And I think yes, I agree 100%. Now it's more important than ever to have people that you can band together with, and if there is something that we need to stand up for, that we're able to do that in numbers. And I think
Absolutely.
that that's 100%. I feel the same exact way, that that's the vibe right now, and it's schools are connecting more, I think, in a different way, and that's so positive, because I think that's definitely what we need. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey, beauty students and educators. I'm excited to share that Beauty School Bobby is now supported by BeautyCast Network, your go to career services and placement platform for the beauty industry. Free to schools, educators, and students, BeautyCast Network connects you with top artists, influencers, and educators who inspire and empower the next generation of pros. From webinars and newsletters to virtual career showcases, competitions, and scholarship pop ups, the platform is packed with tools to build non technical skills, encourage career readiness, and help students launch amazing careers as they approach their graduation date. Learn more at beautycastnetwork.com to help your students thrive and take their career to the next level. Now back to the episode. I want to talk to you about educate or being an educator. And I want to talk to you about, what advice you have for someone that is teaching right now, that is an educator. What do you think the most important thing is for them to carry into the classroom, for them to kind of be focused on? Where does the educator focus? We always say, obviously, student is number one priority, and making sure that your students are taken care of. What do you think the number one thing is for educators right now in the midst of all this change? What can educators be doing to kind of prepare themselves, or to be better? What would Jessica do?
I think the key to any success is preparation. And I think that carries us no matter what year it is, no matter what the trends are. I think all of us as educators, we show up with a heart for the students. So I don't think that's something we have to learn or be told that we have to bring. I think if you're an educator, we have a love for it, right? So I'm
Mhm.
not going to say that. What I will say is preparation. As times have changed, as things feel different, um, as you may be moving to digital, right? And might feel really different from what you're used to. The preparation of how your students are expecting you to show up, it may look a little different than it used to. It may look like trying new things. And with trying new things, it's also going to have to come with learning new things, right? So oftentimes, especially if you're a seasoned educator, I know it's hard. Even for me, as I transitioned out of the classroom, that was just at the shift where we had been using digital for a couple of years. And I went through that print to digital conversion in the school real time. And so I truly know and have felt those challenges, the bumps and bruises as you're like, hey, I know this stuff. I'm such a great educator, like, and you want to have that confidence, and then you're kind of like at ground level one again, where you're like, I know nothing, right? I just want to be so good at what I do, but I don't feel like I am, right? But that so much comes with preparation. It's like, okay, let me sit down and understand all of this. Give yourself that grace and that time to show up for your students that way, because they're looking for such a level of excellence from you that
Mhm.
the only way to deliver that at this point is just an increased level of preparation.
What resources can you have? Where can somebody look right now for that additional training? Maybe the school
Yeah.
isn't, there are educators at the schools that maybe are like, okay, the school isn't providing this for me or whatever. Where do you think is a great place for educators to get more training in that way? I mean, I think leadership training is
Yeah.
really important, and the instructor training programs, it's maybe not taught. Like, one of the things we always say is like the most important preparation you're going to have is like being in the classroom, so making
Yeah.
sure that you're getting that time of learning how to run a classroom and what your classroom looks like and all of those things. But where can educators go if they're like, I kind of want to do this on my own, or maybe they're in a position where they have to do it on their own, to get some additional training? What resources do you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Shameless plug, you can go to miladytraining.com. There's plenty of trainings there. Quite affordable, to be honest, and they're micro lessons, right? And they're also self-paced, so you don't have to feel committed to be like, I have to sit down for 4 hours at a time, or 3 hours, or 1 hour. You can break it up if you have prep time, and there's so many classes on there that are based off of our professional educator textbook. Um, Things about methodologies of teaching, teaching with digital, how to deal with students in a certain way, how to be compassionate to certain needs of a student, right? So I would definitely tap into that, scroll through all of the offerings, and start there. And then you can also start earning certificates for your Master Edge certification. So you can look into that if you're looking to build your resume from an educator standpoint. Bobby, I don't know if you provide links or anything, but I'm happy to share that for the podcast notes. But yeah, miladytraining.com.
Yes, I think it's so good. And I think back to like what we were saying of how it feels so good when we're all together. Talk to me a little bit about CEA, because you all do a program that I see you all at AX,
Yeah.
and I see you all there. But talk a little bit about what it's like to be there, and why the in person time together is so important, and kind of what that whole program looks like.
Absolutely. So if you're not familiar, CEA and AACS Annual, both of those events are hosted by an organization, a national organization called AACS, the American Association of Career Schools. So those are two mega events that host, for CEA, it's for educators. For annual, it's for owners and directors. And so those two main events, the importance of coming together is truly learning from each other. You have a lot of the large brands offering classes, you have networking opportunities, and surely if you're looking to level up in your career, you're feeling like, hey, there's been a lot of change, I want to be ready for the next step, or if you're looking to just improve yourself, right? There's different tracks that you could take classes. You can, like Bobby said, hey, I'm looking for a school that's like my school. We have this specific, thing that we're trying to work out, and just those times when you're networking at lunch, or you're passing each other in the hallway, or someone says something in a session, you're like, wow, that's really impactful. And you're like, now I have a friend, right? They may be across the country, but I haven't met anyone like that, or a situation like that in my state. And how have you worked through it, right? So those conversations are invaluable. I mean, the time that you get to spend together, and um, not only hear what other people are doing, but it helps encourage you, like, wow, someone else is doing that, I look up to that. Or I needed my cup to be full, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm feeling a little drained. Those are the moments that really fill us as an educator. And for myself, going to those events, even at times when my school may not have been scholarshiping us to go, I took it upon myself that, hey, I'd really like to go because XYZ is going to be there, or there's going to be a session on this. So, I put my little money aside, and I, see how I could get there, and all the things. But those sacrifices, they add up, because you're like, wow, let me still bring this back to my team. This is important. This is impactful. And surely your owners and directors will see that as well.
Yeah, we always say, I mean, those, and I love that you mentioned it too, but it's not just the classes. I mean, I know they
Yeah.
send out the like, this is going to happen, but I think every conference I've ever attended, it's the conversations at lunch, it's the person that you pass and you're like, hey, I heard you ask this
Yeah.
question and this, and it's really how you build your community. Because as much as I wish and hope that everybody is at a school teaching that like has all of those people, I also understand the experience of being like, I have a unique experience inside of this school and I need something more from it that I'm maybe
Yeah.
not getting from the school that you can get from a fellow educator or somebody that you meet at the conference, or even I know you all are always there, and I know that you all teach classes. So to be able to
Mhm.
go to Milady, and
Yeah.
even from, Karina and, when Sandra was there, I mean, you are literally having the opportunity to walk up to the person developing the curriculum and who
Yes.
is or leading that organization and say, hi, I'm so and so, I'm an educator. And I
Yeah.
just think that's so valuable and so thankful that you pointed out that sometimes it is on your own that you have to do this. I am really, really encouraging. I want everyone to really just take control of their own path. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, want these things like, I don't even want to say handed to them because that makes it sound like it's not deserved or it's not important because it
Yeah.
is. But just because you're in a place that isn't giving you that, sometimes you do have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
And that is, again, get yourself to the classes, get yourself to the conferences, like go try. It doesn't have to be every year that you commit to going because I know it's hard, life's busy and all of those things, but just to do as much as you can. And now it's never, I still am just a huge believer of the in-person events
Yeah.
and going to that. But on the other side of that, if what you can do right now is the digital and the workshops and the everything, then start
Yeah.
there. Start
Yeah.
with whatever you can do to get yourself. I think there's just, I see a lot, and I'm sure this is just like across the board in all industries, but it's like there, you do have to just take control of it sometimes, and it's not
Yeah.
going to be handed to you. I think that anyone that is successful in the industry, we could like line up 100 people and like, what did you do for yourself? What did
Yeah.
you do for yourself? And every single person, I think, that gets to this level of success and happiness on the other side of that, I think
Yeah.
those two go hand in hand, success
Totally.
and loving what you do. There is a moment where you have to say, I did this for myself. I couldn't wait for it to be handed to me or whatever. Go talk to the school owner and say, I want to go to this. Like take that on
Yeah.
your own and do that. I really, really want more people to have more of that leadership or that confidence to do
Yeah.
it. It's scary. It's hard. It's the hardest thing. And I think as women, especially, and I think we, especially our age, it was not supported or encouraged to be like, you're going to be the one that speaks up all the time, or you're going to like, that was annoying. That was like a negative thing that was
Yeah.
taught to us of like, don't speak up too much, or make sure you're not asking for too much, or do, the too much part of it. We've really had to retrain our brains, I think, to say, no, this is how I'm going to get ahead. And if I am too much here, like I need to find a place where that too much is valued. And I think so for us, or I think for the younger generation, maybe it's a little easier to speak up, but maybe not easy to know where you need to go with it or what opportunities are valuable to take.
Yeah, and I'd also say, like, as you were mentioning, taking ownership of your future path. Whether you're a student, whether you're a current educator, like wherever you are in your journey, and you might be looking, okay, like you said, we open this conversation with how many paths there are in the industry,
Mhm.
right? And as a student, as a future professional, looking ahead and saying, okay, I'm sure you see, your social influencers and you're like, okay, what are they doing, et cetera. Or whoever you're looking up to at this point, look at their story, find their LinkedIn, find their website, find their social media handles, and kind of do a little research. I'm kind of like outing myself here, but, do a little research. Where have they been? Who have they talked to? What conferences do they go to? What kind of certifications do they have? The role that they're in now, hey, that's something I aspire to do in about 5 to 10 years. What do I need to do over these next 5 to 10 years in order to get me qualified to do something like that? Maybe
Mhm.
it won't exist like that in 10 years, but if I want to be on that same track, what does that look like? Okay, maybe I don't. Maybe I do need to go get a degree at a college, or maybe I don't, but I need to do this and get the certificate, or maybe I need to network with XYZ at this conference. Um, so really just kind of outlining it just like you outline anything else. Hey, I want to buy a house. Okay, what do I have to do? Here's my check
Mhm.
boxes. Okay, hey, I'd like to have this job sometime in the future or be surrounded by said type of people. How
Mhm.
do I outline that and track that for myself? And really just start aligning in the places, the network, the credentials, the experience. Um, that those folks have. And don't be afraid to ask either, right?
Mhm.
I think more often than not, people are willing to give up information than you might think, right? You
I
just
think
say,
in
hey,
our
I love where you are. I love what you're doing. Tell me how you got there.
yeah.
If there's one thing that you could tell me to do right now, what would it be? Right?
Mhm. Yes, I agree,
Yeah.
and I wish that I would have known I coming into the industry and not being in the beauty school, like, I didn't go through beauty school, and I didn't and I learned it in a backwards kind of way of coming into the
Yeah.
business and admissions and then growing that.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't belong there, and then it was, like, very quickly understanding that it's the most helpful industry. It's the most people
Sure.
that are like, "We wanna tell you, we wanna
Yeah.
help you," because we all want the industry to be better. That's the one common goal is that we want the industry to be better. And we're, working towards that in so many different ways. And everyone is like willing to help. I very rarely, like, and even right now, I can't even think of somebody that I think a student could message or email that they wouldn't help. Like, I think everybody is so willing to have the conversation, and to say, like, here's what I think you should do. Everyone's so willing to share advice. And I think it's competition in other industries, I'm sure, but I think in ours, it really is like being willing to share and to help. So I think if anything, like giving confidence to educators, students, all of that to reach out is like, I do want to just say that like it's the easiest industry to do that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Now, when you're working in where we are now in 2026 now, which is insane, versus when you were in beauty school, what is something that is implemented now that you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous that they get this. I'm so jealous that they have this. Because if I would have had this, like that would have been everything. What is something that you're like jealous of or that you wish that you would have had when you were in beauty school that exists now?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, social media
Mhm.
is it comes to my first thought. I mean, we had social. Okay, for anyone watching this, we did have social media. Okay. However,
It
it's
was
not like
archaic to what it
yeah.
is
I'm
now,
like
though, for
okay,
sure.
let's just put that out there. Um, However, it wasn't what it is today. Let me give you some context. So I remember I was an educator. And I think Instagram had just came out. I mean, we had like the sepia filters on it and all the things, right? Instagram just came out. I started posting like some of my work with the students, and my big thing was like color correction. Like I was a brand educator for the color line we had, etc. And so I started posting my students color corrections because they would do their hair at home. They'd be like, "Oh my goodness, why is my hair green?" And then we would work through it as a lesson, and I would fix their hair, do a whole haircut transformation. I remember there was this one color correction we did, and it was this bright violet and all these different violets, the coolest bob. And at that time, the Cut Life, which was like this huge platform of like pixie cuts, and I'm totally into short hair, had reposted it. And I think, okay, listen to this. I think I got, I don't know, 1,700 like likes on it. And at that time, that's like a lot for our
Yes.
era of Instagram. Okay, that was
Yes.
like 2 million today. Okay, just for
Yes.
context. I remember falling out on the floor. I was like, I am Insta famous. Like, this is my time. Like, this is going to be great. Um, so, for context, I say that because the world is your oyster at this point with social media. And sure, it's a gift and a curse in many ways. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So never look to someone's chapter 20 as your chapter 1 and all the things. But it's such a powerful tool, truly, to
Mhm.
take you to, oh my goodness, the depths of where, from being recognized by brands to, being yourself authentically, all the things. So I wish that we had today's social media then,
Mhm.
or I wish that I used social media to my power from the beginning
Mhm.
in
Yes.
retrospect. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's so good.
Yeah.
Jessica, I'm so thankful that we got to talk and I'm so thankful for you giving us this time. I think that you truly are so special and really, really something incredible. And I told Steven that I was gonna be interviewing you today, and he was like, make sure you tell her hi. I mean, you are somebody that leaves a lasting impression. And
Thank
I
you.
think as far as educators go, if I could have all of my staff at the school learn from anyone, have the, the life and the like joy that you bring to
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. I want everyone to be exactly like you in that way, and the energy that you bring into the classroom. And I'm just thankful that you are in a role where you're able to make a difference, and that you stepped out of, just being in the school and into the role you're in, because I think we all need you on a bigger level for sure. And I'm just so thankful that we met, because I really do enjoy our time together, and I just love your energy. And I'm just thankful that we had this time today.
Wow, Bobby, that was incredibly sweet. Thank you. And I hope this isn't the last of many conversations between us, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll leave you with this because you said something that reminded me. Sometimes you wonder, like, hey, am I on the right track? And if you're a student, if you're an educator, and my motto to my daughter every morning when she goes off to school, I say, shine your light on someone today, right? And we have to remember what our impact is through the days, through the years, because one day you're going to look back and you're going to realize that impact. So keep going, keep shining wherever you are in your journey. It'll all be worth it.
Yes, I just looked over at Mark and smiled, because we say every morning to our kids when they leave, Jessica, we're like the same, I swear. When we
Are we
leave,
soul
I go,
sisters?
yes, we are. Like seriously, like separated at birth. We always say, we say go be the light. And that is what I want. Yeah, such a good message and sentiment to end on, because that's really all we can do. And that's, that's what's going to change the world. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Jessica, where can we follow you?
Let's see. Probably on LinkedIn is the easiest. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jessica George. Pretty simple. And
Awesome.
I'll
All
see
right.
you
And then
there.
we'll get those links for the instructors in the episode notes below. So
Okay.
thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bobby.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.